Hello and welcome back or welcome to the channel. I'm Loudguns, and over the last couple of weeks we've been having a discussion in the Discord about the updates to crime stats and clearing them in 3.18. There were quite a lot of divergent views, so I thought it was an interesting subject for a short video. Drama isn't really my thing, so whenever I put together a vid like this discussing a topic, it's purely to get people thinking and discussing. All views are welcome and encouraged down in the comments. So grab a drink while I hit play on the intro, and then we'll get cracking. So for anyone who hasn't got a clue what I'm talking about, let's start with a quick roundup of what's changing. We'll also cover a bit of the clarification that's come out of some of the discussions on Spectrum. First up, there are currently multiple locations in the Stanton system at which you can hack away a crime stat. As of 3.18, that's going to fall to just one, Security Post Carrier, or SPK. Currently, SPK's turrets provide some resistance to criminal players, but with a little careful flying and a bit of EVA you can avoid these. In the 3.18 update though, the defences are getting beefed up and there's going to be a permanent Crusader security detachment stationed there. SPK is also going to be the centre of a new mini jump town in the upcoming patch. Carving your way through the security detail will spawn a lieutenant whose keypad you can obtain to start a dispenser, which will check out valuable contraband, and or junk. So SPK is likely to be more of a focus for PvP combat, and you're almost certainly going to run into someone if you're heading there. Killing the guards at SPK is also going to put the heat on you as well, so with a mission triggered for lawful players to come and kick you or your org mates out. All of this means that criminal life is likely to get harder. Anyone looking to set up a trap for criminal players intending to clear their CS now only has one location to worry about. And clearing a crime stat through hacking will likely mean you need to apply a lot more blunt force and accept your CS rating will get higher before you have a chance to lower it. I don't venture onto Spectrum that much, but occasionally there are some incredibly good threads of discussion started there by community members that don't devolve. One such thread is the Accidental Crime Stats post by Dysonian, who's done a fantastic study compiling all of the reasons players end up with a CS when they had no real criminal intent. This really eloquently summarises the main reason people are hesitant about any changes to the crime and punishment system in StarCit. Making it harder to clear a CS can really double down on a crappy situation, where players have only got a CS due to a bug or an exploit, and are then prevented from clearing it due to the hardening of the game systems. And thankfully this post also highlights one of the cool sides of StarCit, the willingness of some devs to get involved with the discussion. Luke Presley from CIG put up a really good post clarifying other changes CIG are intending to make that should help to balance out some of these issues. And it's here that we really get a bit of nuance. If they're putting out videos like the Inside Star Citizens, there are just bits that we can miss, and it really helps that he's come on here to clarify this. So as well as highlighting that the team are aiming to reproduce some of the bugs and exploits that Dysonian brought attention to, one of the most important factors here is that CS2s as well as CS1s will now be payable as fines as opposed to requiring hacking or prison time to resolve. And arguably even more importantly, players with up to a CS2 will not have their landing privileges revoked, meaning that they can land at any station and pay this fine, while also not being a viable target for other players looking to send them to prison. Shooting down a player with a CS2 or below will now give you more of a serious crime stat for vehicle destruction or homicide. So I personally reckon these changes are a fairly good idea despite the potential shortcomings. Effectively it seems, based on Luke's dev response, that SC crime stats are drifting towards a misdemeanors and felonies system like we have in the real world. CS1s and CS2s would be the misdemeanors. They should cover the majority of non-violent crimes and potentially friendly fire incidents that account for the majority of accidental crime stats. Focus on the word majority here, it's not going to be perfect. But the move to make these effectively a financial penalty rather than one which by default comes with the necessity to hack away your CS or face being hunted and jail time should remove a lot of the stress for players who didn't intentionally pursue the criminal life. I really like the updates mentioned by Luke to make it effectively illegal to shoot down a player with a CS1 or CS2, and making it possible for players to land at stations and make the necessary reparations. It always seemed a bit weird to me that the response to something like trespassing is getting murdered. There's an old English folk song that makes the point that if you get hung for rustling a sheep or killing and robbing a noble, you might as well kill and rob the noble. Meanwhile, CS3 would be the felonies and should for the most part be incidents where you knew what you were doing. Obviously there may be some drift for what we have now in terms of crimes that are currently CS2 becoming CS3 and vice versa, but we'll just have to wait and see on the exact implementation. The fact that clearing a more serious crime stat through hacking is going to be made harder isn't a bad thing to my mind. For one, it's another way to encourage players to come together, either in PvP combat or working together to overcome a bigger challenge. Getting away with your CS5 is going to take more than sneaking around. Yes, the bounty hunters can set up camp outside SPK. That just means you're going to need to call on your mates and come in force. Anything which rewards organised multiplayer gameplay and interaction in SC is a good thing in my book. As we go into 3.18, assuming the cargo refactor makes it, criminal gameplay is set to get a lot more profitable. If pirates can actively steal cargo, there is finally going to be a really good profit motive for them. My view is that with greater rewards, there should be an equivalent uptick in risk, so making it harder to get away with makes total sense. Also, if we just suspend reality and step out accidental crime stats for a second, since over time with more development of the game these should be addressed. The crime and punishment system is one of the best ways CIG have to influence player behaviour. I'm afraid I didn't have the time to dig out the exact presentation from Todd Pappy on this, but I really like a point he made a while back that wherever possible CIG want to use in-game systems as opposed to out-of-game ones like TOS and player reports to punish negative playstyles. Before anyone comes at me in the comments, I am talking about griefing specifically here, not generically criminal gameplay. So if someone's idea of a good time is blowing up a bunch of new players, they might just be more inclined to think twice if it's going to lead to them most likely doing a stretch in prison. Over the time I've played games, I've seen a huge variety of approaches to maintaining a good vibe in a gaming community, but those that lean heavily on reporting toxic behaviour tend to fall down. It's very hard to build a system that is in itself impervious to exploits, for example large groups of players maliciously reporting an individual who's done nothing wrong. And because of the nuance of a lot of situations, it's difficult to automate, meaning you would just need to employ real people to review cases. Finally, while some people may not think that now is a good time to mess with the in-game legal system given the bugs and the exploits, I'd just ask when is. In the future, I think one of the best ways to protect players who are after more of a PvE experience from Star Citizen is to have higher security systems, where there's less room to commit crimes and get away with them, and where punishments are much higher. Prison we have in Stanton, Klesher, is notoriously lax. Not only is escape a realistic possibility, players are also encouraged to mine or do maintenance missions to reduce their sentence. If I get a CS3, I'm likely to spend about 15 minutes total in the slammer. In higher security systems, I'd expect to see higher security prisons as part of the effort to use the in-game systems to discourage PvP in these zones. Ones that don't have early release programs or escape routes built in, where all you have to do is watch a clock tick down while you think about what you've done. If CIG are going to experiment with a system like this, then I'd rather it was refined in an environment like the one we have now, so that when we have harsher consequences, we can have more confidence. So I hope you found this video interesting, and like I said at the start, I'm always keen to have a discussion on any of the topics raised. Dysonian's post on Spectrum was an amazing example of how putting forward a well-reasoned point can lead to a really great discussion on the mechanics of the game. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you think of the proposed changes to crime stats and hacking, if this is going to encourage you to embark on a life of crime or hunt down those who do. And if you feel I've earned it at this point, consider hitting those all-important like and subscribe buttons, they do really help me out. With all that said, thank you very much for watching all the way to the end, and I look forward to seeing you next time.